Oh, what's up, gamers? Hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to more Esports Talk. Before we hop into today's interview, the first official interview I would say on this channel, huge shouts to Censor as well. This was done from the confines and privacy of my own home in my apartment, okay? And I'm really working on this kind of stuff. Really enjoyed having this discussion as well with Censor. A short discussion, and now, of course, a few days before he has officially quit his trying of the CDL. We'll be trying out this challenger system as well to get himself more exposure. I cannot wait for what this guy's future is. And yes, it's highly debatable. We can go back and forth about this, guys. He has definitely been a prime target for a lot of backlash this season in Call of Duty. He did sit down with me, though, to talk about the challenger system and the Call of Duty League subsystem and how it really is broken. And I do agree with that. No matter whether or not you guys agree of whether, Censor should start, if he should play or not, I think a lot of us can agree that the subsystem currently is a bit iffy here and there with actually giving these subs proper exposure and expectations, for what they can achieve have been a bit lackluster. So here's what Censor had to say about this, guys, and I'm sure we'll talk more about this in the future. I think the turning point and twisting point off of this is other Call of Duty subs compared to Censor, how much effort they have put in, how much work they have put in compared to him. Certainly there are a few that are above him, but I would say there are a lot below him in that category as well. Here's what he had to say about Call of Duty League and the subsystem needing some changes for the future. Also, yeah, guys, I know my webcam's not the best quality and my neck is really out there and exposed. Just sit back, relax, and listen. You don't have to look at it, just listen. All right, so Censor, obviously when it comes to most topical discussions as of late, when it comes time for Call of Duty subs, you've been very outspoken about this, especially as of recently with potential issues with being a sub. What do you have to say about this, in any realms of improvement, or what exactly do you want to get out there?
Well, I think it's incredible. First of all, it's the first year of the Call of Duty League, so I knew coming into it, obviously with the first year, I look back at other sports like NFL, it's year 100 this year. NFL year 1 wasn't running perfect and smooth, right? NFL now is running a lot better than it did 100 years ago. I think the Call of Duty League will be running a lot better in 100 years from now than it is right now in year 1. I think they're doing a great job. And I think they're really open to our feedback too. And I think they made some changes as we went along. And I think they've also acknowledged some things that we could be doing better as a community and as a league. So for me, being a substitute, it's awesome. I love being on New York. I love being a representative of, my hometown, my home city, and just being a part of the team. And I understand that I'm a sub, and I understand that people, are like, oh, this guy, he's just getting picked up for his brand, or this guy, he doesn't have it in him anymore. That's cool. You can think what you want to think, but I have a plan of what I want to do. And I just feel that the structure that we have set up needs to get changed so that people like me and other substitutes have an opportunity to become starters. We're literally just sitting here taking, paychecks from our owners, which, it's nice to get some stability and financial support, but we have no room to become a starter. They're just going to constantly go for the next guy in the challenger scene because they get to play and we don't. And who's going to want to play with somebody who doesn't play the game, even if they're the greatest guy in the world? And they don't play the game, why would you want to play with someone if they haven't got any practice in? So we just need to find ways of getting subs more reps and more practice.
Yeah, and earlier this season, New York, I'm not exactly sure, was that a mandated step in by upper management, when they actually got you practice time? Obviously, when it comes to league, getting practice time, playing tens, oftentimes, it's the sub spots not getting selected. Did that actually have to be, from top down for you to get more practice time?
Well, I told my organization, I've been very straightforward with them and everyone in the community too. There's no ways of getting practice as a sub, and playing with the team isn't really an option because the team, I know what it's like to be a starter. I've been one my whole life. You don't play with the second guy. You play with the guys that you have. So why would a starting roster want to play with their substitute player? To them, it's this is wasting my time. I could be practicing with my real team. And this is all new to the league. This has never been done before. So again, I just think it's more of a transitional period. So I told management, listen, I can't really get practice with the team. I never even asked for practice with the team either, because I just know what it's like. Nobody wants to play with their sub, and I'm not going to even intrude or ask. The management thought it would be a good idea to get me, Happy, even Trey, to be game ready. So they implemented this schedule to get all of us practice time. So once a week or so, I was able to scrim with the team. It's been a while since I played. I played yesterday, but before that, it was 3 weeks. I played a total of 4 practice sessions on this entire game. It's now May. This game came out in October. In 7 months, I have played with the New York Subliners in a practice session 4 times, and 3 of those times was against amateur teams. The only one that played against us was Atlanta FaZe. But now as the season has went on, teams in the league don't want to play against a team if they're using a substitute unless that substitute's going to start in the game. So it's a really difficult thing to work around, because although like our team is trying to get all of the players on the roster, starters or not starters, to be game ready, because obviously you might need them, as we've seen in this league so far. Um, Pro teams do not want to scrim against you. The only team scrims you get is versus pickup teams. Like we played Parasite's pickup team that I was supposed to be playing on, that I got shafted from an hour later, and then I was playing against them. So I was supposed to play against New York with Parasite's team, and then they made a change, and now I was playing with New York against his team. So this is like the level of practice that I'm able to get. It's versus some pickup teams, and it's just not stable. And then if you go down the list to tens, like that's the next best list of getting practice. Tens isn't even, it's not a team environment. It's not the best practice you can get. In order to get practice and to stay game ready, you need to be able to practice with a team. So the next option there is challengers, and that's the only way that a sub could really get proper practice every single day, consistent reps, staying game ready, is playing in a challenger system and playing in online tournaments every week. I can't see any other solution, to be honest with you.
And you've definitely been a face of the league, whether in good light or bad light. You are definitely a target for a lot of backlash. Would you say, though, when it comes to other subs out there, obviously, I think when the season started, when it comes to motivation for a sub spot, you were giving forth, at least publicly, what it looked like a lot more effort than a lot of other subs to get that practice time. Would you say you were one of the, more, one of the lead figures for sub roles actually trying to get that practice time and you still got shot down?
Yeah, there's only a few people that I can name off the top of my head that are as determined as I am to like make it as a starter. I think a lot of the substitutes, for the most part, just kind of just sit around, and if they need to be called on, they'll get called on, but they don't make it an effort because I don't know. I don't talk to the players that aren't trying to pursue themselves every day, but I can tell you there's certain players like Chino, General, and the list goes on to a couple more, but I can't think of them off the top of my head. But the two that really stick out is Chino from Optic and General from the Chicago Huntsmen. Those are really the two guys that I see day in and day out grinding. That's a substitute. And obviously Trey got benched and he's been grinding every single day too, but he already was a starter. But specifically for players that were signed as a substitute, most of them don't really try to get picked in tens. They don't really try to put in an extra effort. They ask a couple of questions internally, I'm sure. And for the most part, a lot of them can't really do much. And it's just a really weird situation to be in, because when we signed our contracts in the beginning of the year, the rules weren't all laid out properly yet. They said that there would be like a challenger system. They said there would be two-way contracts and one-way contracts, but everything was still being finalized and formalized. So the way I saw it was, it's better to be on a pro team than to not be on a pro team. It's better to get a guaranteed salary to not get a guaranteed salary. I figured that if I sign on the team, if I'm with the team and I'm contracted on it, I'll figure out the rest next. And I've tried through trial and tribulations. I've put so much time in. I've sat in my team scrims for 2 months straight. Just to walk you through it, I'd wake up at like 12. I'd do a quick workout. I'd eat. I'd sit in my team scrims and watch them for 5 hours from like 2 to 7. I would go to tens and put my name on the list. I'd get the list together. I won't get picked all night long, and I'd sit there waiting to play from like 7 to 1 a.m. If I get picked, it's at probably 12:30, 1 a.m. By this time, I've sat around watching Call of Duty for like 10 hours, and I've heard gunshots in my head, like explosions and people calling out. Now I'm finally able to play. And my practice is when I'm dead tired, exhausted, and just drained. And then I'll do the same thing the next day and not get picked. And it's like that cycle is just such a toll on your mental health, because there's no other way as a sub to get any reps. There's literally zero other way of getting reps other than playing in challengers, which some players don't have two-way contracts. Some of them only have a one-way contract where they can't. Like, for example, Chino, he is not allowed to play in the challengers. He can only play with his team. Now, fortunately, he's getting a chance to play now, which is great for him. But there's other subs in the league like me who I've worked as hard as anyone, if not the hardest. I've spent more time than anyone, if not the most. And I've had 4 practice sessions all year long. Zero opportunity really to just grow and progress as a player or as a content creator in any way, because all my time is spent watching or sitting around, and it just seems very counterproductive, honestly. And I think there needs to be a better way for us to be able to grow, because if we keep going down this path, next year when we come around, who's going to want to make me a starter if I didn't play or have anything to go off of from the year prior? Like, usually when you're making a team like this year, they looked at the players who did good in Black Ops 4. So next year when we have a new Call of Duty, they're going to look at the players who played well in Modern Warfare. There's going to be dozens of players ahead of me because I haven't done anything in Modern Warfare because I wasn't able to. And that's the issue that I see. And I think that we just need to tweak the things a little bit to make it better.
So you're saying right now, and like you said before, we could see a reoccurring issue here. Obviously, if subs never get that time, how can they actually prove themselves? And like you said before, we're in ground zero. And so let me ask you maybe a bit of an iffy question. We've seen a lot of teams out there have initial sub spots used for a couple of players, and then they bring on additional subs to actually potentially replace starters. Do you think some teams out there potentially wasted their initial sub spots?
In my personal opinion, absolutely. I think people didn't understand that it was going to be a very competitive league, and
Mhm.
there's only 12 teams. Like I really don't think people look at the big picture of things. If you have 12 teams in the league, there's going to be teams that suck. There's going to be teams that are great, and there's going to be teams middle of the pack, because that's just how it's going to be. No matter what you see or how you feel, there's going to be a loser. There's going to be a winner. There's going to be a team that doesn't win. There's going to be a team that never loses. FaZe Clan, Chicago, Dallas, bottom of the league. You got Gorillas. Our team was losing a lot. We seem to be looking a lot better now. It's going to happen with every team. And when your team isn't winning, you're going to want to make a change. You're not going to be able to trade players on your team for other players if other teams don't agree to it. So your next option is either A, pick up an amateur that's doing well, or B, use your substitute. So yeah, I think a lot of teams didn't realize how important the subs were going to be when they started the season. And I think after this year, you'll see a lot of top amateur players getting signed as a substitute. And I think there will be some changes so that substitutes could get reps, because I think they will get used more. Call of Duty is a very day-to-day game. There's some amazing talent out there. Like, for example, we got Gunless. He's sitting on the bench. Gunless is one of the most incredible players I've ever watched in my life. And he's not a starter right now. It's just how the league goes. It's how team dynamics go, team chemistry. It's an up and down year. Emotions get the best of people sometimes, and sometimes people go to the bench. Sometimes people get promoted. Naval got benched. Pander came in for a few months. Pander they didn't think he was the right fit anymore. They put him back on the bench. They put Enable back in. So it's very valuable to have a guy on your bench that knows how to play and is also very willing to take those punches, because you get punched a lot in the face as a sub, but able to stay resilient and continue to stay motivated to be the best, because you might need that guy.
Yeah, and that's definitely an area where I really respect, and we've definitely had videos on this when it comes to sub roles, right? You've been stuck in the sub role, but you've been a very well-known face and recognizable face still when it comes to New York content. So it's really respectable to see that. Let's end on this. Obviously you've already taken to Twitter a few times as well. If you have any main points to iterate of what the league can change, or what the challenger scene can change, or what can be changed in general to help subs like you actually get practice time or eventually get real playing time, what would you leave on?
Well, just speaking from my personal experience, because I can't talk for anyone else, I've looked at every single angle of being the best Call of Duty pro that I could possibly be for this year. I've spent as much time as I possibly could. I've made a lot of sacrifice. Look at my YouTube channel and how often I upload. I used to upload every single day, making a ton of money. Look, all that money that I used to make, I'm not making it because I'm spending time watching my team play, literally not getting picked in tens when I could have been just making content, making money, growing. I'm not, because I care about this. I think people don't see the amount of sacrifice that I put in. So what I can tell you, after all this time I've spent since October till now, trying to be the best that I could be, um, players will always pick a player who has more experience than a player who's not getting any reps in. And the only way that you could change that is by having them all play in a challenger system, playing with people that they feel comfortable with. I'm trying to make a name for myself with the challenger players and the amateurs. I don't know any of them. I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to figure out who's good, who I should play with. But I don't know anybody. The only team that I know is some of my old teammates, Gunjar, and he's a substitute on another team, and I can't play with him because of how the rules are set up. But the way I see it, we're all online. We're all sitting at home. I would love to play with Gunjar. I loved playing with him in the past. We've had a lot of success, and I can't play with the guy. So the only thing I can really do is play with a bunch of players I've never played with before. And if that's what I have to do, I will. But I just think for viewership purposes, it would be great to have other substitutes able to play with other substitutes in the league, even if it's just two substitutes. I think that would be completely fine, because you'll see a lot more of them trying to play in challengers. You don't really see any substitutes playing in challengers other than Gunjar, if I'm not mistaken. I think he's the only player who plays in challengers. There's two subs on every team. There's 24 substitutes, 25 I think, because we have 3. Toronto has 5. There's almost like 30 substitute players. I think only 1 is playing in challengers, and the reason is because they have to play with players they don't know and they're not accustomed to. So I think if you could give the substitutes the opportunity to play with one other sub, they'll feel a lot more comfortable going in with 3 amateurs that they never heard of before. And I think those amateurs would be really excited to play with some of the substitutes in the league, because they have a reputation. These guys have been around for a while. These guys have proven themselves. These guys have had some success. So I think it'll be a great learning experience for the amateur players. I think it'll be a great learning experience for us, because we need practice too. And I think it'll be great for content, because if I'm streaming these challenger tournaments on Twitch, I'm going to get a lot of viewers. People are going to tune in and they're going to want to watch it. But I don't really feel comfortable playing with a bunch of players I've never seen or never known before. I want to be able to play with somebody that I know. So I just think it'd be really important if we could just play with one other sub. I think you will see all the other substitutes starting to play a lot more. I think every single one of them will start playing in challengers. It will make all the players in the league, whether they're substitutes or starters, better. And it will also give us more incentives to grind. It will make more viewership on Twitch. It'll make more viewership on YouTube. And overall, it will just be better because right now, how it's set up, these substitutes are getting minimum $50,000 a year and they're doing nothing. Like they're literally just taking money, and I don't think owners are happy about it. I think the players themselves, the substitutes, are happy they're getting the $50,000, but they're not really doing anything, you know. And as a person who could just take money, like for me, I'm taking money and I don't feel like I'm doing anything, and I want to be able to use myself more. I want to be able to be more involved. I want to be more productive, and I just don't feel like I'm doing that right now. So I just hope that we could tweak it a little bit.
Yeah, I think you make some great points, and especially these talking points has to progress the league forward. And like you said time and time again, the league being so early on, hopefully these kind of moments, you make it seem very feasible, will actually lead to future changes. So, Doug, I can't thank you enough for your time, man. I really always appreciate your advice and 2 cents. Anything else you want to say?
No, I'm just a big fan of what you're doing. I like your channel a lot. I think you're always on top of things. I think you work very hard. I think you keep a very good level head on your shoulders with your videos, and I just hope you all the success in the future, man.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you. So there you have it, folks. Again, thank you so much to Censor. It was really crazy to have him on as well. For the future of interviews, that's definitely my goal as to where this channel wants to go, is definitely having some personal interviews. I like this kind of style of shorter interviews, right? You know, interviews with any personality or Call of Duty Pro or Esports Pro out there on individual topics. That way we keep it kind of shorter, more concise, and not like a lengthy hour long. Like, I would love to talk to Scump about what it's like to have a girlfriend while being an Esports Pro. I think that would be a killer video. So those are definitely the goals for my future, guys, when it comes to interviews with personalities or pro players out there. And what do you guys think? And certainly we'll slowly make improvements. Obviously, I was a bit nervous too, okay? I'm not gonna lie. These pro players, they do make me nervous. I get nervous all the time. So next time, hopefully we'll improve slowly but surely. Hope you guys all enjoy. Until next time, you know what to do. All right, take a sip, stay hydrated. I'll see you guys back here sometime soon.